guys and welcome to my channel. I don't have my ring on, nothing's happened, we've just broken up. No, I'm joking, it's in the other room. Anyway, hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome to my channel. Today I've made a bit of an effort for you. Do you like it? Do you appreciate it? I've kind of got out of the habit of wearing foundation, and I'm not now still, but I really like doing makeup regardless, so yeah. Apologies if it's really noisy, the window is open, there's another heat wave. Fucking climate change, am I right? So yeah, it's very warm in Plymouth, but of course it's Plymouth, so it's windy at the same time, so yeah, soz. Today I'm going to put a trigger warning at the beginning. I'm going to be discussing some very sensitive subjects about identity, gender identity specifically, and religious views of those. So if that's not something that's going to be particularly helpful for you, then please click off. This isn't going to be a particularly uplifting or positive video. It's just going to be shining some light on some beliefs that I feel have been quite hidden by the Jehovah's Witnesses. I did a bit of research. It was only about an hour or so. I didn't like look for ages, but I knew that there was this stuff out there, so that's why it was relatively quick for me to find. But the fact that I knew that this information was out there and it still took me an hour to find it should show you that this stuff is really hidden, and it's very hard to get a concrete answer on where Jehovah's Witnesses stand. It's very clear that they're intolerant, but there's certain things like retransitioning that I think that they don't make very clear. So yeah, we're just going to be discussing that today. I'm going to be putting some bits of information in. I've been watching a lot of anti-religion videos recently. Obviously when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you are not allowed to read apostate literature, so I never did. And so now that I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore, I've been finding more and more information out about the Jehovah's Witnesses that comes from, I don't know if anyone's ever unbiased, but from people who have never been a Jehovah's Witness and still have very strong opinions about the way that the things that they say come across, and some things that I thought were quite innocent, I've realised as time's gone on that actually it's quite concerning. So yeah, I hope if you are considering leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're studying, if you're just looking for more information, then this video will be helpful to you, and if you've left, I hope that this reaffirms or helps you decide either way whether leaving was the right decision for you. Yeah, let's jump into it. So I'll put the sources and the information up on the screen as I'm reading it, but I'm also going to put the links down in the description. I don't feel like reading Jehovah's Witness literature is particularly helpful, but I like to cite my sources because I would never want to give any incorrect information. I think that religion and leaving religion is a really sensitive subject, so I would never want to give the wrong information. So I will leave links down below if you are a curious cat or a doubtful dog. That was rude, sorry. If you are doubtful of information and you want to check it for yourself, then no judgment, you go for it. Piece of information number one. What I did is I found information from different time periods. So this is the main, there's a lot of 70s, 80s information on the website about how Jehovah's Witnesses view gender identity, gender dysphoria, intersex, you know, all of the things that encompass your gender identity. There's a lot of information from older years, so I mean, if that information is still on your website, I feel like that's what you still believe, but I also wanted to find some more up-to-date information just to show that they haven't either retracted that or changed their statement on it. So this one's from the 70s, it's from 1974, it's from Insight on the News, a Watchtower. And the subject is born in the wrong body. A transsexual is not merely a transvestite, obviously. Also anyway, a transsexual is not merely a transvestite, one who dresses in clothes of the opposite sex, nor necessarily a homosexual, though that may be the case. A transsexual is a person who rejects the sex with which he or she was born and takes up the life of the other sex. Claiming they were, in effect, born in the wrong body, which is in quotations, I'm not adding that, many have undergone radical surgery and hormone treatments to attain a sexual transformation. An estimated 1,500 persons in the United States and about 150 in Britain have done so. Wow, I wonder what, I'll have to check in a minute what the number is now. I can't find it, sorry. I don't want to give incorrect information as well, so I wouldn't know where the best place to find the reliable information is, so I'm sure someone will know. Hopefully someone in the comments will be able to give us some reliable information, and perhaps if they could cite their source as well, that would be really helpful. I love to look into things, but I really do love looking at where it comes from as well. I don't know if that's a negative or not, but that's just the way I am. Yeah, so an estimated 1,500 persons in the United States and about 150 in Britain have done so, and this was in 1974. What really do they accomplish? Is it possible to change a... Oh, big trigger warning for this, because I'm not transgender. But that really shocked me. Is it possible to change a normal person, not a hermaphrodite or ambiguous sex, from one gender to another? And none of that is in quotation marks. The normal person is not in quotation marks. Oh dear. The answer is no. How did I guess that was coming? As Dr. Georges Bourou, a French surgeon prominent in the field, says, "I don't change men into women. I transform male genitals into genitals that have a female aspect. All the rest is in the patient's mind." Not necessarily. If you're intersex, then no, that's not the case. If your hormone levels are a different level to the body that you're born in, no. And also, our whole identity is how we view ourselves. So what does that mean, that all of it is in your mind? What does that have to do with you wanting or needing gender confirming surgery? Are you sure you're a doctor, Dr. Georges? I feel like, also you're a surgeon. You've got nothing to do with psychiatry or gender dysphoria, gender identity, whatever it comes as. You have no training in that. So what on earth have you got to say you're a surgeon? I know that doctors have their specialist areas and then they have training in lots of different areas, but what's that got to do with the price of a pint of milk? Your opinion means nothing, Georges. In reality, the ultimate result is either a severely and irreversibly mutilated man who resembles a woman, or a severely and irreversibly mutilated woman who resembles a man. The increase of transsexualism is but one more facet of the spread of practices contrary to nature, categorizing much of this present period. The remedy for these, with such inclinations, is not surgery, but a change in outlook, being made new in the force actuating their minds with the aid of God's word. Not gonna go into that one much, because I think I've made it clear how I feel about all of that shit. And also that was 1974. So let's see if they have changed their minds. Spoiler alert, they fucking didn't. So this is an Awake from 2003, and it's a whole article on alternative lifestyles and does God approve? Guessing he doesn't, because he's a bit of a spoil sport. But I'm just going to read the article that pertains to what we're talking about. Some people may genuinely struggle with confusion regarding their sexual feelings. Others openly embrace alternative lifestyles such as homosexuality. Still others boldly act and dress as one of the opposite sex. Some undergo sex change operations. Big trigger warning here as well. There are even individuals who argue that adults should be allowed to have relationships with children, and I have changed the wording for that. The fuck are you talking about? Why is that in the same paragraph?
What the fuck has that got to do with the price of milk?
What has that got to do with homosexuality or gender confirming surgery or gender dysphoria? What has that got to do with that? What has philia got to do with that? I'm getting so angry, and it's one of those where I'm like, I'm so angry and maybe I should be more concerned as to why they feel this way. Who has told you that? And of course, there is no cited scripture, because, oh, I feel a bit sick. Anyway, we continue. Okay. In the laws given through Moses, God specified sexual practices that were abhorrent to him. God also specifically forbade portraying oneself as a member of the opposite sex for immoral purposes. Why does everything about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I think, you know, broader, all religions, but I don't know all religions, so I can't speak. Why has it always got to do with getting jiggy with it? A lot of people who are transgender are asexual. That's got nothing to do with it. It's about not recognizing yourself when you look in the mirror, and that's got nothing to do with who you want to get down and dirty with. Just because sex is all that the men in the congregation can think of, allegedly, don't sue me, but also do, because I'd love to go to court with all of you, that doesn't mean that it's the same for everyone else. You have no idea. And also, sex, gender and sexuality are all completely different things. Who you want to have sex with is similar to sexuality, but it's not always mutually exclusive, because I would view myself as a cis straight woman, but if I was single and there was some sexy woman who wanted to, you know, roll around in the hay, I'm not going to say no. So I don't know if having sex with someone and your sexuality are mutually exclusive. That's why it's a fluid spectrum. And absolutely your identity of yourself and when you look in the mirror has got nothing to do with who you want to have sex with. Jehovah's Witnesses have got to stop thinking that we all just want to have sex. It's you guys. I was never hornier than when I was a Jehovah's Witness, because I was like, just let me have it. Just let me do it. I now, because I am able to live a free and fun lifestyle, without saying too much, I don't always think about it. I now think about other things. For fuck's sake, it's the people that don't have it are the ones that always talk about it. Am I right? So that's that one. That's from 2003. Let's give them a chance to redeem themselves, shall we? This was the reason I wanted to make this video, because I knew they made a stand on it, and I knew that they were trying to hide it, because when you look up transgender on the jw.org website, nothing comes up. When you look up transsexual, a couple of things come up. When you look up gender confirming, nothing comes up. Even gender reassignment, nothing comes up. So they definitely try and make it hard. But I know, because I remember this coming out. I remember this being released. I was 20 at the time, and this is a very strong memory I have when this yearbook came out. So this is from a yearbook, which, can you guess, they come out yearly, and it's kind of a, you know, examples from all over the world. And yeah, let's just get into it. So this is from 2013. So this is from, that took too long, 8 years ago. And it's under the subheading, are you ready? A transvestite makes changes. I just started reading this. I'm going to read it again because they use male pronouns for the people spoken about in this example. I know how it ends, and I know how they decided to live at that time, but I don't know what's happened since, and I don't know how they identify. So you can read it on screen and it will have the pronouns that the Jehovah's Witnesses use, but I'm going to use gender neutral pronouns because I don't know how they would like to be referred to as. Rek grew up in a traditional family in Cambodia, but from a very young age, both they and their twin brother felt that they were female. They played with dolls and were interested in dressing in girls' clothing. That's not got anything to do with your gender identity. Their mother was confused and ashamed and did not know how to stop them. They would leave for school dressed as boys, but immediately change into girls' clothing once they got there. At the age of 16, the twins entered a beauty contest for transvestites and were noticed by the entertainment industry. This led to their being featured in television shows and comedy acts. Soon, Rek adopted a homosexual lifestyle and associated with other transvestites. Rek's mother began attending church and made Rek go with her. Although they agreed to wear men's clothing, which is like such a sacrifice to make for your mother, and yet it's still never enough, is it? Although they agreed to wear men's clothing, they refused to cut their long hair. The pastor often made demeaning comments to Rek and ridiculed Rek's lifestyle. Even so, Rec thought that they would try to study the Bible at church. The first week they got up early and cycled several miles to the church, but the pastor did not feel up to teaching and excused himself. Rec was disgusted when the pastor did not even show up the second week. However, when Rec got home, their twin told them that a woman had visited and offered a free home Bible study. She had left the book, What Does the Bible Really Teach? The twins began studying with the sister and her husband. After 6 months, Rec's sibling felt that they were not ready to change their lifestyle and they stopped studying. Rec, on the other hand, was deeply affected by a scripture and saw clearly what they had to do. By means of diligent study, Bible reading, prayer and meeting attendance, they were able to clean up their life. Rec's mother is also studying and making good progress. When Rec was baptised, their mother said, with tears in her eyes, "I'm so happy to see my son get baptised as a man." They now serve as a regular pioneer. My thoughts. We will keep this short and brief because I'm feeling some kind of way. Yeah, disgusting, obviously, we know that. It's concerning to me how much they hide who they are and try and hide this side of them. I couldn't find anything on the website, so this is all alleged, but I have read that certain transgender people have had to reverse their surgery if they want to have the hope of getting married or being able to be baptized. I've heard of even, of course, because this is all that anyone who is against transgender says, that toilets and the toilet situation is an issue. Yeah, so it is worrying to me how difficult it was to find all of that information, and I think for the way that the world that we live in is still so intolerant, and it's getting there, but it's still so intolerant. And I feel like there are a lot of religions who are really upfront about their stand on the LGBTQ plus community and make it really clear about who they will and won't accept. I think that there are still families who, you know, like Rec, for example, their mum wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, but they still had very strong feelings about Rec being transgender and wanting to have gender confirming surgery or even just live their life dressing as a woman. And so I think that people still feel really lonely, I imagine, and the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses keep it so quiet about what they feel could be interpreted that they don't have strong feelings on it and it's kind of a case-by-case basis, and that these people who may feel really vulnerable if they're in a situation where they don't have family who support them, or they have tried so many religions and have been knocked down so many times because these religions are insulting or won't accept them, to then go on the Jehovah's Witness website and for it to not really make a stand either way, or at least clearly make a stand either way, is really, really dangerous. And this is how people get sucked into these cults, is because they target vulnerable people and people who may not have people around them, and they suck them in and they love bomb them. You know, for example, like the fact that the pastor with Rec wasn't gonna teach them at the time that they wanted, but the Jehovah's Witnesses were there and they were just going to help anytime they wanted. I just feel like that's such proof of the love bombing that Jehovah's Witnesses do. And you know, by the time you've caught yourself and, you know, caught your breath with all of this intense interest that they've given you, it's hard to then pull away from that. And especially if you've built up a community and you know, that's what Jehovah's Witnesses are encouraged to do, is to invite these people round or spend time with them. And you know, if you've built up that community and then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my god, I feel like this is not right for me, and suddenly they're telling me this information that I didn't think that they felt this way, and now I don't know what to do, because if I stay the way that I am, I will lose everything that I've built up over this time, and I don't have anything else to go to. But then if I do what they're asking me to do, then I don't know what my future is going to hold, if there is any future, because this is not a decision that is really my choice to make. It's my body, and my body has told me that it is this way, and I need to keep myself having the surgery that I've had, I'm not gonna reverse it. And now they're using words like mutilate, and you know, it's just so scary. And you assume, well, they loved me so much that they must be right when they say all these awful things about me. This must be the way I am. I must be so, God must view me that way. And I just think it's so horrible. And just, Jehovah's Witnesses are just so manipulative. And the more research I do, having left, the more I realise that they are completely and utterly manipulative, and they just want people to feel like they're this really cool gang of people who like are so like whatever. And Jehovah's Witnesses always deal in absolutes. One of the things that I definitely did a lot when I was a Jehovah's Witness was someone would say, but you wouldn't accept, you know, a gay person coming to the Kingdom Hall or being a Jehovah's Witness, would you? And I'd be like, absolutely we would, of course we would. And then you backtrack to be like, but only if you do da 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 da. And eventually the if you do da 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 equals don't be you. Just pretend that you aren't you, and then of course you're welcome. Yeah, that's kind of all I have for today. That was a lot. That was really intense. That was really hard actually, but it's something that I feel like is really, people aren't sure, you know, how Jehovah's Witnesses feel about it, and I think that they would potentially go to the Jehovah's Witnesses to ask and then be like lulled into some information that perhaps is not completely correct or transparent. So I really hope that that little dive into some of the older and the more recent articles from the Jehovah's Witnesses just prove that their opinion hasn't changed, and they have no respect for people who have had gender confirming surgery, and they think it's an easy swap around, that if you decide to become a Jehovah's Witness you can go back to your birth assigned gender, and it's as easy as that. Anyway, I really hope this was helpful. I'm sorry if this was really hard hitting, but I think it's very important for people who maybe don't know much about Jehovah's Witnesses to hear the other side of it, and to see that this information is out there, but it's very hard to find. If there's ever anything that you want me to discuss about being a Jehovah's Witness, then please leave it down in the comments. If you have found this video helpful, then please let me know as well. If you found that I got some things wrong, then absolutely please tell me. I've done so much work over the past couple of years of educating myself. Oh my god, the curtain's about to go. I've done so much work over the past couple of years of educating myself, but I know I have a long way to go. But yeah, a nice healthy conversation for everyone in the comments. If you would like to have it, please feel free. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love you very much. I hope you're okay, and I'm always here if you need me. Okay, bye. Bye.